Hello, everyone, and welcome to Exploring Awesome. My name is Jim Kellner. I'm a stage hypnotist, a hypnotherapist, and of course, all-around swell fella. Guys, I am really excited. This is the first time that I'm doing a live YouTube broadcast. So if you're listening to this on Blog Talk or somewhere else, check out my channel, Jim Kellner, on YouTube, and you can follow the you can watch this or listen, whatever. Sorry, this is the first time. All right, guys, I'm really excited. I have a special guest on today. I know every time it's a special guest, but I've known this guest for a long time. We've worked together in the past, and really excited. Today, one thing I'd like to ask you. I was going to say this earlier. Sorry. One thing I'd like to ask you. One of the quotes that I really like was by Wayne Dyer. Well, at least that's when I first heard him. He said, "Would you rather be right or kind?" And I posted on Facebook one time, and Laura came back with, "How about both?" And I thought that was great. I thought that was really awesome, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to have her on the show, because I think she's going to help us a lot in finding out how to be right and kind at the same time, and right and happy, as Dale Carnegie said. Because he said, "Would you rather be right or happy?" I think, and so maybe we can be all those things. So let me just tell you real quick about Laura. She's been a trainer for over 25 years, teaching communications, business startup, nonprofit, board, staff trainings, and many basic and advanced mediation and conflict resolution subjects. Now, she's also been a certified mediator for 13 years. She's mediated with families, businesses, and victims and offenders classes. She specializes in high emotion family cases. She has a highly developed skill and ability to listen and question, even in the presence of strong emotions. She's got hundreds of hours of mediation experience. She assists the parties to get past their fixed positions and strong emotions in order to ascertain their real interests and achieve a resolution. Today, by listening to this podcast, guys, you're going to find out about conflict styles. You're going to find out the structure of conflict, and the best part, conflict resolution tips. And with that, everybody, please welcome to the show, Laura O'Neill. Hello, Laura.
Hello, Jim Kellner. Thank you so much for having me on today. It's great to be here, and it's great to be in this new technology.
Yes, isn't it exciting? Now, I was, out to the guests out there, I was under the impression that we could, have people join into the conversation, and I'm not sure if that's actually true or not. We are going to put, if you are able to see the chat information on the side, I'm going to put up our contact information. And Laura, that was facebook.com/theadvicelady. Is that right?
Yeah, and actually, if they look for The Advice Lady, they'll probably find it. Yeah.
Well, do you know what your slash is? Do you have a name?
It's just /advice, the Advice Lady.
The Advice Lady, okay.
There are some numbers and letters beyond that, but
okay.
They should find me there.
Hopefully find it there. And you can find me, of course, at Facebook / just Jim Kellner. Also, I want to put this out. What's that?
There, I put mine up there as well. We'll see if that works.
Good. Oh,
they
fantastic.
Can find me. It says me. Doesn't say Laura O'Neill. It just says me.
That's perfect. I do. So, in order for you to join the conversation, what I can do, if you're on YouTube right now and you want to click in and join, looks like we've got 2 viewers. And hey, if that's Bradley Stewart Jeffrey out there listening, hello, Bradley. He tweeted me earlier. If you'd like to, you can. If you'd like to join the conversation, tweet me your email address at jimkellner.com. No, at Twitter at Jim Kellner. That's JimKellner, and that is on Twitter. Tweet me your email address, and I will add you to our Google Hangouts when it's appropriate time to do that. All right. Wow, what a lot of stuff. I'm sorry for that. Let's get right into this. My goodness. I do want to mention real quick, Laura's got a special offer at the end of this. So please do listen to the end. She's got a really special offer for people that want to take advantage of her skills, her coaching. So please listen. Laura, can you talk to us about conflict styles?
Yeah, it's interesting when I do trainings with folks, whether I do it in a business or if I do it for the community, whoever it is, it's one of the things that we start with. Because when you're going to try to deal with conflict, you're going to work on your communication skills, any of those kind of things, the thing that I think is the most important is you need to have some self-awareness. And to me, that's key in everything I do. I think it's probably really key in what you do too, Jim. And one of the ways that we do that is to talk about conflict styles. How do you deal with conflict? What kind of things do you do that are a key or a clue, if you will, to your conflict style? And there are basically 5 conflict styles. Is now a good time to go through those and talk about those a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
Let's hear those.
Let's talk about this.
What mine is.
Yeah, let's talk about what yours is. And one thing that's really great when we do take a training, we actually have a little test that you can take, and that can help you figure that out. But when you listen to what some of the aspects of these are, you usually, we know each other, know ourselves a little bit. We can usually figure that out. So the first one, and I bring this one up because this tends to be the most popular for people. It's not a popular type of style, but it is what is most common. And
Okay.
you know, out there in YouTube land, if this is you, you can raise your hand or you can tweet to Jim and tell him if this is you. But the number 1 conflict style in America is avoidance.
Hey, I'm good at that one.
Yay. And so you're in the total majority. And what avoiding conflict looks like is literally that. It's a great word for it. If you see somebody walking down the street that maybe you've had a little falling out with, or maybe there's something that you were supposed to get done and you didn't get done, if you're an avoider, you're going to cross the street, you're going to cross to the other block, you're going to physically avoid that person instead of dealing with that person. Does that make sense? So you're literally avoiding.
I just want to say something. I am listening. I am. If I look distracted, I'm over on Twitter right now, tweeting back to people.
Fantastic.
So please keep going. And yes, that does make sense. I know probably a lot of us do that.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. So keep your tweets coming in because Jim is a phenomenal multitasker and he can do that and listen. So. And so it's really common for people to avoid. You know, conflict is uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good. It's one of the reasons it's so hard to market my business is I don't put out there all the companies that I work with, oh, these people have conflict, these people have conflict, these people have conflict. You know, it's a hard thing to market. But I can tell you that most companies have some form of conflict because conflict, if you leave it alone, you know, how people will say, I just blew it off. It didn't really bother me. Probably not true. And if you don't deal with your conflict, it will actually begin to escalate. And so it's really better if you can push through that avoidance and try to get some help to handle it. Another one that is really common, it's like avoiding, but it is slightly different, and that's accommodating. And when your conflict style is to accommodate someone, the way that looks is to say, oh, Jim, you are absolutely correct. It was completely my fault. I am so sorry. It will never happen again. You are absolutely right. Oh, yes, that opinion is spot on. You're the dude.
Oh, I like that.
Right. That's a popular one if it's not you. Right. So, you know, I want to accommodate you, and sometimes if you're someone who's ever heard, oh yeah, I'm so sorry, you're absolutely right. Out there in YouTube land, have you ever thought to yourself, what are you sorry about? What exactly is it that you're sorry about? And it's because sometimes people apologize or they accommodate so soon that you can tell it's simply to avoid the conflict. It's not really because they're truly sorry. So, you know, that's another behavior. It's another way that people deal with conflict.
So, excuse me for 1 second. So, if somebody says something like that, you're saying that they haven't just seen it your way oftentimes, but they really are just kind of placating you and just ignoring it.
Sometimes, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Not all the time, of course, but
right.
But absolutely, sometimes that's the way it is because people are so uncomfortable. I mean, I have seen people use these two behaviors, the avoiding and the accommodating, for example, in the workplace, they will leave their job. They will quit their job. They
Wow.
will literally say, I would rather quit my job than go to a mediation session. I would rather quit my
Wow.
job than to have to deal. So it isn't really even the data or the content of the issue itself, as much as it is just they've couched this thing in conflict, which they can't handle, and so they just will totally leave it. People leave marriages, they leave relationships, they leave jobs, they leave conversations, not because of the data, but because they have this feeling that there's a confrontation coming, there's a conflict coming, and it's that alone that they can't deal with. And that's why people need help. I mean, people need help from you in what you do to deal with conflict, and people need me to help them in conflict. Make sense?
Fantastic. It does. I think
Yeah.
anybody that can help us kind of navigate that, because for some of us that's not an easy thing to do, and it is uncomfortable. Well, I guess probably for a lot of people. Here's something I always wonder about too. Now, do some people just find it? I mean, because there are those people that are just very forthright. They just tell you whatever's on their mind. For them, in your experience, do they find that uncomfortable, but they do it anyway, or is it just it feels good to them to do that?
Well, it's a brilliant question, actually, because the third type of conflict style falls under the word of competitive. It falls under being a competitor. And the way that looks is that people they need to win. They absolutely need to win. They need to win an argument. They need to seal that deal. They need to win on a sports team, and they need to win in arguments. And what we'll do after we talk about these and give you just this overview, we'll also talk about the goods and the bads. You know, what are the benefits of having this, and what are the negatives? So there are some negative things with competitors who they have to win at all odds. They have to win, and there are some phenomenal benefits to being competitive as well, and we'll talk about those in just a minute.
Okay.
And so the last two, those are the three. We've got avoider, accommodator, and our competitor. But then we've also got the person who is the compromiser. And a lot of people will think that that's the ultimate. You know, that's what we have to have, and we have to compromise. However, when you compromise, what's happening is you're really not getting every single thing you want or every single thing you need. You're just getting some of what you need or some of what you want. And so while that is good in some relationships, and some relationships require that, if you're in a long-term relationship with someone, you need to develop some ability to compromise. That's absolutely a part of a successful relationship, whether it's business or work or couples. But again, there's a step beyond that is even more powerful in the spectrum of building relationships, and that is being collaborative. And when you're collaborative, you are developing your ability to listen. You're developing your skills of having a bigger thought process, trying to think outside of what you currently think, what you currently believe. You're able to take in what that other person is saying. Now, and here's the caveat to that, you don't have to agree with someone to intently listen to them. Some people don't want to listen because they're afraid that somehow that signals that I agree with you, right? And that's not true at all. I can listen, I can take in what you're saying, and completely disagree with you at the same time. So those are the basic 5 conflict styles. Do you have any questions on those, or tweeters, or?
Well, it's interesting you talk about that, really listening, because I know, for a lot of us, I know I still have kind of a terrible habit of, even while someone's talking, I'm formulating what I want to say next.
Beautiful.
And I've tried to become more present and detached from that, and just listen. Although sometimes then I forget what I wanted to say, but I guess like Mom used to say, I guess it wasn't that important, right?
Yeah, right.
But I do think that that's a really great strategy to use. I wonder, would this be a good time to? I don't know. You have a chat message. Did you see that over there?
I did not. It says GM Butler wants to join in. Okay.
Is that?
That's what I'm seeing. I don't know how to tell him okay.
No, I will. I just wanted to know if you were ready to take a question, maybe.
Sure, you
All right,
bet.
let's see if Let's see if
I
GM
happen
has
to know, I have to know GM, so that'll be great. He may have a question.
well, that's what I wanted, because I thought I'd seen him comment on your Facebook before, so I recognized the name. All right.
Good.
GM, you have been invited to the conversation. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Sorry, folks. This is really I'm learning new technology here. Public.
Okay. If it creates a conflict, well, then we'll take care of it.
I think we're okay. I think we've got a. Yeah, I think we've got. I think I invited him. So,
Okay.
Jim, if you're listening, I have tried to invite you. I hope it went. And you may need a Gmail account to join the conversation. I'm not sure. All right. So, Jim, tweet me if you're.
Learning.
Yeah, tweet me if you're not. If you haven't been invited, and I'll try again. And now I can't get rid of the box here. Oh, there it is. Hold on. Oh, I think I just did it. Yay! Okay, cool.
Right on.
The box wasn't big enough. So we have the 5 different styles.
Mm-hmm. We could talk about the benefits a little bit. Oh, go ahead, please.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Do you find that there are? I mean, I think in what I do is we kind of learn that people, pretty much everything we do, there's a reason for what we do it. It may not be a good reason, but there's a part of us that is trying to either help us, protect us, or whatever. For instance, somebody who might be afraid of flying, their subconscious is saying, hey, look, there could be danger there, right? It may not be logical, but still there's that danger. So, where was I at? Anyway, so what are some, are there advantages to honestly, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
So, are there? I'm reading your mind a little bit.
Okay, good.
Are there advantages and disadvantages to these? And here's the deal. You touched on a good point there, and that is that all of us have the ability to have all of these different skills, but there's one that we tend to fall back on. There's one that we tend to say, oh, this is my go-to thing. And when I'm not thinking about it, when I'm under stress, when I'm really nervous, it's the go-to thing that it's the skill that we go to, if you want to call it a skill. Mm-hmm. It's the place that we go. But what we also see, especially when we do this training in the workplace and people take that test, we find that we can develop skills, we can become more aware, and we can adopt these other ways of being. So this is a good segue into what the benefits, the pros and cons are of each of these. Mm-hmm. The negatives for the avoider, the person who just wants to avoid conflict at all, at all cost. The benefit is that it is in the short term, it's very safe. If you're talking, to use a big, horrible example, if you're talking about domestic violence or violence at all, if you're an avoider, then that's going to be good right now. That's going to be really good that you're an avoider. You're going to do whatever it takes to get away from that, and that is a really good thing. An avoider who is in a long-term relationship that you might term a healthy relationship or a good relationship that they want to keep going, the negatives for an avoider are that usually they don't ever get their needs fully met because they're just avoiding the situation. They're living usually with like a low fever conflict. They're living with this low feeling all the time, this energy spend around this, whatever this issue is or issues in the relationship. So that is a negative. They can begin to feel bitter because this thing is eating away at them. And that's very similar also for the accommodator.
It's interesting. I had it's interesting you mentioned this because I actually had a client one time who, I don't remember the exact reason. We'd gotten to about 3 sessions in, and she still was having some trouble with the weight loss component. And so I did a special technique to help her to put the past behind her. And the interesting thing is she came back in and she said, for the last month, I have been so angry. I have been speaking up for myself. I've been telling my husband about, angry at my husband about things that happened on our honeymoon. And she felt like she had finally stopped pushing it all in and finally let it all out,
Beautiful, beautiful.
and it was a good experience. But I warn clients now too, when I do this technique, you may be a little uncomfortable for a little while that's all coming out.
Right. It's a new skill for them.
It is,
so
yeah.
They're not going to do it perfectly right away.
Exactly. There's going to be some fine tuning, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. When we're talking about so same for accommodating as we talked about avoidance, the same thing. With the competitive piece, the pros are that so many people who are leaders have a very competitive style of life. Their lifestyle is competitive, their character is competitive, but so is their conflict resolution style. Okay. And it's really important for them to win, and we need those people, because those kind of people are phenomenal at making decisions. I'm not saying that they make the right decision, I'm saying that they're really good at making decisions. And we need people who can make decisions, because many times the avoider and the accommodator can get stuck. They can get really stuck and they can't make a decision because, what if it hurts somebody's feelings? Well, that's going to bring up a conflict. Yeah, it's going to blow up. Yeah. So you don't get a lot from them as far as they make decisions. I don't mean to say they don't, but your bigger decisions are easier for the competitor. Okay. The problem for the competitor, the thing that comes up the most for them, is that they have stereotypically, let me say it that way, they're not relationship people. Their relationship is with them and their goals. Okay. Right? They're not necessarily relationship one-on-one, me and you. They're not. That's not their number one go-to. So they can alienate people a lot because they're looking at the thing. They're looking at the goal. They're looking at the thing they're trying to achieve, or they're looking at the win. Whereas instead of tell me more about how you feel, you're not gonna get that a lot unless they've had some training, unless there's something that motivates them. Something's happened in their life that motivates them, that says, I need to be thinking about relationships. So compromise, I think we already touched on that it's great, and everybody needs to have that if they're going to have a great relationship. There has to be a part of that. It's a give and take thing. That's a real deal. You've really got to have some give and take. That's important, but you don't always get a sense of fulfillment, a sense of real satisfaction from that. With collaboration, which is the last one, there you get a phenomenal result, because you've taken in everybody's opinion, you've been inclusive, you've really listened. Can you guess, Jim, do you know what the downside to being collaborative is? Do you have any idea what it might be? Because there is one big downside.
Is there? That everybody wins?
That is such a downside. Oh, I just hate when that happens.
I hate it. I want to be the winner.
I mean, winner.
So collaboration. I bet it takes longer.
Bingo. It's really, really time consuming. It's really time consuming. You've got to plan ahead, and you've got to really be thinking, what are my goals here and how can I make it happen? Because what will happen is the competitor will say, we don't need a plan. I already know what we need to do. We need to do what I want to do, so let's do it. Right? Right. And sometimes, in an emergency, it depends on what you're doing. If you're in an emergency, you need that. You need that person to give that quick answer. Right? So, those are that's the short answer for the pros and cons of the different styles.
Fantastic. And let me just take a moment to just, if you're just joining us now, I said we just added another viewer. If you're just joining us now, you're listening and watching to Exploring Awesome, the weekly podcast, really designed to offering tips, tricks, and strategies, and interviews with people to help you to live a more awesome life. I should have looked at my sheet here for the tagline. It's so different doing it on video. I don't want to look down or anything. I need a teleprompter or something. I'm joined today by Laura O'Neill, longtime friend of mine. She's also an expert in conflict resolution. She's got a great website, theadvicelady.com. Is that correct?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank goodness. Wow, it would have been terrible if I'd have gave somebody else's website address
Yes,
out.
it would have.
And she's always got some great quotes on her Facebook page. You can follow her at on Facebook / The Advice Lady. Maybe some numbers after that, but you can do that. Now, and if you continue to listen, as I know you will, you're going to find out a couple more things that we're going to talk about. So we've just talked about the different conflict styles. We're also going to cover the structure of conflict and conflict resolution tips. For more information on Jim Kellner, that's me. Go to my website, jimkellnerhypnotist.com. That's 2 L's, 1 N. All right. I didn't have any more questions about that. I'm looking at the Twitter feed. Let me check the Twitter feed real quick, see what we've got going on. Looks like GM is not joining us. I don't know if that's they got busy or if we did something wrong over here. We just got here. This is kind of fun. I'm on the Twitter feed. I'm going to read you a message from Greg Butler.
Okay.
Thanks. Getting there. Whoops. Again, is causing problems with Chrome. I'll just watch it for now. Yeah, that is the thing. The thing with this. Oh wow, that's okay. Sorry. That's the thing with. That's the thing with this technology here. You got to download some extra stuff. It doesn't take very long, really. If you're listening, Greg. You just did it the other day, right, Laura? It took less than 5 minutes, really. Mm-hmm. Now, here's something troubling. B.S. Jeffrey, Bradley Stewart Jeffrey says, on screen I can see Laura, but I can't see you, and I'm not sure why that is, and I wonder if anybody else is having that experience.
But really, at least they've got the most important person.
Well,
so
exactly. In fact, really, that is the most important thing. So, you know what? We don't have our. I was going to put the crown on you. They have in Hangouts. They have the effects. Oh wait, there they are. Wait. I should stop screwing around. I was going to put you. Uh-oh. Not sure what I just did. Okay, hopefully nothing bad.
I wonder if I have to put the crown on myself.
Maybe that's it. I was looking if I couldn't even wouldn't even open. All right. So anyway, hey, if you can't see me, you're welcome. We'll try to get that fixed for next time.
Ta-da! Feel free to bow before me.
There she is, everyone. Laura O'Neill.
There we go. That's pretty exciting.
So we just had a new viewer join us. Welcome to the show. Laura, I'm not seeing any questions pop up. We just have the comments from a couple people.
Great, that's fine.
So that's fun. We just got a couple of new followers too, so that's fantastic.
Follow us, great.
Yes, follow us. Also, you can follow Laura O'Neill, although she doesn't really use it very much, I guess. But
if people start tweeting me, I'm going to start tweeting more. You can bet that's going to happen.
So
I do get notifications. I get that one notification a week from Twitter, so feel free to. It's Laura J. O'Neill at Twitter, or however you say it.
So tweet her so that she'll get on Twitter. You can ask her questions. All right, we're about halfway into the show right now. I don't have any more questions. I thought you answered a lot of stuff. Well, do you find I guess I think you covered this. There are in certain situations, obviously we want to use different conflict styles, like we talked about the avoidance. If there's harm, that we probably want to avoid that in the short term at least,
right,
till the harm is past. And if we need to do something quickly, what I'm hearing from you is we don't want to collaborate.
Right. Yeah. If there's a fire in the building, everybody look to the competitor and say, "How do we get out of here?" And you just have to work through those. But it's good if you can pull this information when you need it. That's the very best case scenario, is if you have more tools on your tool belt.
Absolutely.
Is it hard to take me seriously, in my tiara? I want to, this is a serious subject, and I...
That's right. We want to treat conflict with the gravity that it deserves, right? Perfect.
All right. Stop it. Okay. Well, I wonder, do you want to talk about the structure of a conflict?
Absolutely. Do you got some more time? Can you stick around?
I can, unless we're good. Unless we're good to go. It's up to you, sir.
Oh, I'm good. Let's work through this. This is some great stuff here. So talk to us about the structure of conflict, if you will.
I had to do it for you. I knew you'd look up and you'd see. Okay.
We have
Well,
at BS Jeffrey saying that I am seeing the crown back when the crown was on. So there's
hey,
some
nice.
feedback.
Good. Very good. Maybe there's a slight time delay as things are. And so let's talk a little bit more about conflict, and the beauty is we'll end with some conflict resolution skills and tips, and certainly they can contact both of us if they want even more information on that. But there's an interesting thing about conflict that when I teach my training, people are really shocked at this, but it makes total sense. So if you have there's a few things I want to talk to you about the structure of a conflict. A conflict almost always involves emotion, and if you, for example, if we go to a seminar together and we're in the same room instead of virtually, and I just lost your picture, Jim, so I'm assuming we're all still on. I still have my little live button.
Yep,
there you are.
Checking to see if I could fix the
You're
video
playing
situation.
around over there. You're playing around.
Yeah.
Okay. So with the structure, there's emotion. So if we're in an event together and we walk in a little late, and I want there's only one front row seat left, and you have to sit 3 rows behind, but you really want that front row seat, and I really want that front row seat. You know,
how do we collaborate?
How do we collaborate? There's only one front row seat. What do we do? Well, and how do you fix it? And we're at this place, and we don't want to have a big conflict in front of everybody and cause a big hullabaloo. And so if you don't really care if I sit in the front and you sit in the back, well, then we don't have a conflict. But if you've got a lot of emotion about that, or I have a lot of emotion about that, now we have the beginnings of a conflict. But the piece that is in every single conflict, and this is the thing that people are often surprised to hear, is that we actually have to have common ground in order to have a conflict. And in that example that I just told you, the common ground is the chair, the placement of that chair. In a divorce, common ground looks like, the children. Common ground looks like money. Because those are elements of, especially I do a lot of divorce mediations, those are the common things that people have a conflict about. And if you have a beloved hamster, for example, that your wife hates, when you get divorced, you don't have a common love for that hamster, so there's no conflict. You see where I'm going with that?
Gotcha.
There is no conflict.
Right.
And so you got to have a common ground, and you have to have emotion, and that's really what makes up conflict. That's what makes up the issue. The way to resolve, if we want to move in a little bit to tips to resolve. Absolutely. When you have that issue of the chair, I just use that as an example, and I'll give one other example in a divorce case. But when you have that situation, what you need to find out is, what is it about that chair? Why do you want that chair, Jim? Right, to sit up front. If you wanted to sit up front, what do you think some reasons are that you would want to sit up front?
Well, a compelling reason might be if I had hearing trouble.
Exactly. Right. So you might have a hearing problem.
So I guess we could use it in that situation. We could do a little bit of collaborating. Why do you need to sit up front? Why did you want to sit up front? And if we came to the conclusion if somebody else needed it more, I guess. Right. Right.
And what we call this, there are several different forms of mediation, but the model that I mostly use, because I work mostly with high emotion, I work with a lot of families, and so the model that I use for mediation is called interest-based model, or facilitative model, but we say interest-based in the industry. I want to know what your interest is in sitting there. What's the most important thing to you about sitting up front?
Okay.
And again, somebody could have a hearing issue. Somebody could just really love that chair. Maybe there's something about that particular chair. Maybe it's an armchair or some other thing. And if I can find out that for me, sitting up front is really being close enough to hear, it's literally the placement of that chair.
Right.
If I can learn that, and you can learn that my interest is the chair itself, well, guess what? We can put the chair itself on the third row and get you another chair for your hearing up front.
Good point.
Isn't it
Excellent.
magic?
It is magic. Look at that. Folks, she's solving problems as we broadcast.
That's right. Just if you're having a chair issue, you know, that's free. It's free to you. Usually I charge 25 cents. It's free to you.
That reminds me of the funny picture that you have. I've seen that somewhere on your page somewhere where you're sitting there like is it Lucy that offers the advice?
Yep.
You had the advice for.
Well, you know, that's how. Thank you for bringing that up. That's how Advice Lady started. As a mediator, I do an awful lot of listening. I'm talking a lot today, but this is kind of a training, visiting. Sure. But in mediation, 80% of what I do is listening. And I love that. If somebody said, what is your passion? I would say to listen. You wouldn't get it from this conversation today, but I love to listen. I love what makes people tick. And it's my passion. I love to listen. So I went to a festival one time, and I saw two people sitting at this festival. There are booths and all kinds of activity going on. And here are these two people sitting on the side of the grass in chairs, and they had a platform in front of them, just plywood, just a thin plywood sheet in front of them that had feet on it. And so, visually it directed us to walk up to them and stand on it. And they had a little sign that said, advice people. I thought it was brilliant. And so when it was my turn to step up, I asked them, I said, can I have this? Can I do this too? Yeah. And they said, absolutely. They said, we know, and it's true, and I knew this as a mediator and a person who teaches communication skills, people need to be heard. And we know it, we hear it all the time. Boy, the guy on the airplane who I didn't even know told me his whole life story.
Right.
The guy at the party who wouldn't shut up. He was monologuing the whole time. He was monologue. And these are people that in their life they're not feeling heard. They're not feeling like they're connecting enough. Excuse me. And so that's what they said. The advice people said. People need to be heard. And I took that in. I took it home. I made some feet. I made a sign that just said advice lady. And I started hitting festivals, and I charged 25 cents. And people walk up and they ask me for advice. Now, it's interesting because sometimes people they'll walk by, and if I don't have a lot of people coming up to me, which is pretty rare, frankly. I mean, usually I have a line, but people, if they're not, I'll say, hey, I'll change your life for 25 cents, and I'll do a little barter banter thing, But people will come up and they'll drop 25 cents in my little bucket, and they'll tell me really extraordinary things, really super extraordinary, sometimes gut-wrenching things. Yeah. And I listen. I'll just listen. And sometimes they will ask for advice, and sometimes I will have not said a word, and they will finish what they're saying, and they will say, "You are brilliant. This was amazing. This was the best advice I've ever gotten." I didn't say a word, literally. And
I was just gonna. I started to interrupt. I was just gonna say that that reminds me of a story in Dale Carnegie's work, the How to Win Friends and Influence People. Which, I mean, if you haven't read that book, folks, go read it. It's marvelous. I mean, it's the title's corny, and some of the verbiage is a little corny because it's gosh, almost 100 years old probably. But it reminds me of a story in there he talked about, where he had spent all evening listening to somebody talk about their plants or something, and at the end of the night the person told the host that Dale was a great conversationalist when he actually hadn't said anything. It's really interesting how when you just let people talk, they will, although sometimes that can get can get annoying on a personal basis, but
It
anyway.
can. It can. Well, you know, and I have a tip for you on that as well.
Oh, great.
When somebody's going on and on and on, and we have this actually, I give this tip in a workplace environment because it does happen in the workplace, and it's happened in mediation too with me, and you can just kind of do some physical thing that changes your dynamic, just changes your physical thing, and the person's still talking, and you can just say, "Hey, Jim, let me interrupt you for just a second. I want you to know I'm really hearing you, and what I want to know is, what is the most important thing that you want me to know about what you're telling me right now? Or what are the 3 or 2 most important things that you want to convey to me before I need to go?" I'm looking at my, you know, you're wanting them to know that you need to wrap it up, and you want to help them to be more concise and funnel it, bring it in a little bit, and that can be helpful.
That's fantastic. That's great
Good.
advice.
Good.
Take notes, people.
Take notes. Take Twitter notes. Only 140 characters, though, right?
That's right. Only 140.
And so so back to a little bit about, so you're going to have common ground. You're going to try to figure out, what is it about this thing that we both need or want. That's really important. And I'll give you one other tidbit, and then we can be done or not. If we're dealing in a divorce situation, and it doesn't have to be divorce, it can be a breakup. You know, before the Marriage Act, where gays and lesbians could marry, we still did splits, if you will. We didn't call it marriage. They didn't call it marriage, but now it's marriage. But it can, depending on what state you're in, it may not be. But even couples who live together break up and they feel like they need some help, either organizing their stuff or learning how to live without each other, even though they want to. They need to figure out how that's going to work. Yeah. And so in a divorce, for example, if you've got couples and, you know, the question comes up, who's going to pay for the braces? You know, the kids are going to have braces within the next year. Who's going to pay for the braces? And so we will try to find out who, you know, wants to and what it's going to look like, and we can work through all that data. But we've had on more than one occasion where a dad, for example, it could be the mom, but a dad will say, "I'm going to pay for the braces." And what he's doing there is he's not presenting his interest, he's presenting his solution. This is his solution to a dilemma. And that's fine as long as everybody agrees to that solution. But in mediation, usually that doesn't happen, I can tell you. And so what we have to do is we have to get to the interest. Why does he want to pay for those braces? What's in it for him? What's that about? And so we have to ask really open-ended big questions and try to find out. And there are a lot of different reasons that people may want to do that. Do you want to take a stab at what some of those might be? Or shall I just tell you?
No, I'd be happy to take a stab at it. Let's see. Might want to do it just to be the good guy in the situation. Maybe he thinks that he can get out of paying something else by paying that. Maybe just a good person wants to do it. Beautiful.
All 3 of those are extremely valid. Absolutely. And we've heard, you know, differing of those all along. And another really common one is, I want my kids to know that I love them. And so the reason we want to find those things out is because if this is about love, that's very different than his solution of money.
Yeah.
And the money may not get him what he truly needs. And that's my goal as a mediator, is to find out what you truly need and help you try to get that. And that's for both parties, because I'm neutral. Right?
Gotcha.
I just would like everybody to be able to get what they need. And so, you know, if love is truly what he's looking for, there are other ways besides paying for the braces than getting that. And, you know, just to stretch the story a little further, let's say that he isn't even working. Let's say that he doesn't have insurance. And let's say that she is a neuroscientist making tons of money and could pay for them out of pocket very easily, but also is very well insured. So it doesn't make sense for him to do it, but it's all he could think of. It was his only quick solution to the problem. Whereas if you break the problem down, you can really help him be truly satisfied, and her, because she wants to pay for them.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. That's good
Yeah.
stuff. That's
Yeah,
good stuff.
good stuff.
Any other tips you want to give people for, for conflict resolution?
Okay. Have we had any tweets at all? We need to
Have we
have
had any what?
tweets. Tweets.
Oh, let's see what we have here.
We may not have any tweets,
Well,
but
it seems like we've got Bradley again. He says that he's been told he has a face to talk to, and he often has trouble getting people to stop talking. So
did he? I
Bradley,
wonder if you could tweet back and ask him if he heard my suggestion about that.
Yeah, let's see. Why don't you just tell people again, just in case anybody missed that.
Okay.
I'll tell you, I had a situation recently where I was at a party and this individual basically vomited forth stuff I had absolutely zero interest in, and I was trying to give as much physical, cues as to that, sort of trying to look away and this sort of thing. And they just either didn't care or didn't get it. And so please tell us again.
Yeah, I think people are not aware. I think they're just, that's why self-awareness is so important all the time, every day, in every situation, but it can also be tiring too. But, and so at a party, at work, a party is not as big a deal. I mean, I guess at a party you could just say, yo, dude, I got to go, and you can walk away, right? We don't have a lifetime relationship here.
Shoot, I should have done that.
Dang it. But if you want, you can, if you want to have a relationship with this person, or you want to, or if you're going to see this person every day, then I think it's great just to, if they're really rambling on, you have a couple of options, but one is just to say, hey, I need to interrupt you. Just be authentic, because that's what you're about to do. I'm going to interrupt you, and in fact, I have now interrupted you, right? This is the number one thing to do. And say, I really appreciate you telling me this. I have about 1 minute more, and then I really have to go. I mean, you're just being honest.
Wait, I'm sorry. Let me interrupt you for a minute.
Please feel free.
What if you're at a party and you don't have to go? You're going to still be there at the party.
I still have to go. I don't I don't owe you my explanations, but I got to go. And if you wanted to, you could add, I really need to mingle. There are some other people here I need to talk to.
Okay.
So
good.
I've got a couple, or what I mentioned before is to say, hey, and this would work well at work or something, or in a mediation. If you want to learn about mediation, contact me. But is to say, what's most important? If you had to capsulize the last 4 hours of your monologue, listen, I'm going to have to go, but I really want to know, what's the most important thing you want to tell me from what you've just said? What's the thing that you want me to take away with me? Because I'm taking it away.
Like to tack on?
Yeah, I'm going away now. Well, it puts a parameter around them.
Right. Yeah.
And it helps them have a structure that they internally may not have. They may have some boundary issues. They may have some issues around, I need to really feel heard. I need to be heard. And so, I don't think it helps to continue to injure that person.
That's true. That's true.
But I think you can also take care of you. And that's when we talked about, can I be kind, or do I want to be right, or do I want to be kind? And I think that you can, I don't think you're kind if you're lying. And you're lying if you're listening and you don't want to be.
True.
And one of the most helpful and scary things that we can do for people is to help them be in reality. And if you want to really, really, may I say, piss someone off, is mess with their reality. That's the quickest way to make somebody not like you and probably throw a hissy fit. So I think you can be kind by saying, I need to interrupt you. And what you're saying there is, I'm going to take care of myself now, and let me give you one more offer to take care of you. I'm going to give that to you. And if they go off on a tangent, then you have to really take care of yourself and say, Jim, I really hear you, and I've got to go. I've got other people I need to talk to here. I've got to get back to my job. I'm going to go now, period. It's not negotiable.
Yeah. And let me just say too, Sometimes I'm pretty good at that, just sort of listening and nodding and feigning interest. Um, and Sometimes, I feel like it's such a selfish action on their part when literally sometimes these people like these folks, they don't ask a single question. This individual spoke for I swear 15 or 20 minutes straight and not once asked a single question. And I got to tell you, if you're one of those people, man, pick up the book, Dale Carnegie's book, really, or talk to Laura, because most people don't want to hear your long diatribe. They want to be involved in the conversation. They don't want to be lectured to. Basically, is what's kind of going on, I think.
Right, right. And I guess my question for you is, why did you stay 20 minutes?
Good Lord, exactly. Well, I was sort of sitting there and I don't know, trying to be nice, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And we need more people trying to be nice for sure. But we just have to really be tuned to our own reality. And I'm not saying be selfish. I think we can be kind too. But at about 3 minutes in, you can usually get an idea, especially at a party. A party is about mingling and being all over. It's not about this monologuing situation. And I think you just have to take care of yourself.
Yeah, I think that being able to say that is a really good way to cut them off gently.
Yeah.
And like you said, I do like what you said too, because the reason they're doing this is one of the reasons they're doing it is perhaps because they need to be heard. They're not being heard anywhere else. And so if I think about it logically and I go, if it takes me 15 or 20 minutes of my life, once every so often to help somebody feel special and be heard, why not?
Right. And I had a person one time say they were kind of going on and on and on, and you may not feel this is appropriate, and I would not feel it's appropriate in every circumstance. I mean, this is communication is a very customized thing. It's not a blanket thing. But sure. After a few minutes, because of the data that they were sharing with me, I said, I'm gonna cut you off for just a second. And I said cut you off. I'm gonna cut you off. And I want to know if you'd like to make an appointment.
Oh, nice. That's
because you can bring your checkbook.
Right.
And we can do. This is a party.
Right.
Right. And this is the session. We're now having a coaching session, and I don't see your checkbook. So we need to talk about that.
I got to say the same thing. I listen to people all day long, and I'm happy to do it when we're working together, when we're trying to make change and that kind of stuff. But if it's just I don't want to go into detail about the story because I don't want to single anybody out. But yes, absolutely, on a professional basis, please bring your checkbook and let's talk as long as you want to, as long as it's relevant. But at a party situation, hey. Let's have a back and forth, right?
Yeah, I got to mingle, and I think a lot of people like that too. Just are so unaware of they're not even paying attention to you nodding. You're nodding and you're going like they're starting on a story. Like if somebody for example, if another hypnotist came up and started talking to you about something, and you're nodding because you read that same exact article, but they still need to tell you the minutia of that article.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm shaking. I'm letting you know. I read that article. Oh, and then when he said this, and he's okay. We're on the same page now. Let's move to a new topic. I've read the article. You've read the article. You've told me how you felt. Let's move on. But I think those people. I don't think we need to injure them any more than they've been injured. But we also don't need to be injured by them. And so we just have to take care of ourselves.
Absolutely. That is. I got to tell you, that is one of the more frustrating things is when someone starts to tell you something and you. For me anyway, and I tell them, oh yeah, I heard that, or I saw that, or you were telling me that before, and then they keep going on with the story. Like, man, could we talk about something else? I don't know.
Yep.
Anyway, Laura, this has been an excellent talk with you, and I appreciate everyone who's kind of bared with us through the technology. We got a tweet from Greg Butler, says, "Wow!" Exclamation point! Excellent! Excellent! 3 times with 3 exclamation points. And
Nice.
so really nice feedback there. I do want to remind everybody, please share this if you know people that could benefit from what Laura's got to say. We this will be on my channel at YouTube, which is YouTube/Jim Kellner. And let's see, what else
And
do I want
will
to
you be
say?
able to share it on our Facebook pages too, Jim, or no?
Absolutely. So it'll take just a few minutes for, I don't know exactly how long, but just it won't take very long for this to actually be saved onto YouTube, and then we can share it. People can view it later, and it'll be there basically forever. You know,
Okay. Forever.
won't be taken off. Yes, exactly. Laura, before we go, I do always like to ask my guests if they've got three things that my audience can do to live a more awesome life today. Do you have three things that you could share with us?
Yeah, I would say have the courage to face those things that scare you, especially if there are conflicts. And contrary to the ending subject of what we talked about, let's all try to listen. Let's try to listen more.
Yeah.
Right? Unless it's not appropriate, and then don't listen anymore. But I would say listen. And the third thing is, for me, is always to be more self-aware. Try to be aware of how you are in a space, how you are in a conversation, how you are in a business, what role do you play, what might your actions or your interactions, how might they affect other people, and just be more aware, more self-aware.
Fantastic. More self-aware. Hey, Laura, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today, especially again trying out the new technology. Well, it's not new to us anyway. So Laura, if you'll mention that you saw or heard this, I scratched, by the way, that was not a pick. If you mention to Laura that you heard about her from this podcast, Exploring Awesome, she's got a special offer that she's going to make to you for coaching for business, couples, and individuals. And Laura, how can people get a hold of you?
You can email me at laurajoneal@gmail.com. So that's LauraJoneal@gmail.com. Or you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter, and Facebook is Facebook/The Advice Lady, and then there'll be some letters and numbers behind that, and or on Twitter at Laura J. O'Neill. And love to help in any way that I can, and I'll always give you a free first half-hour session to kind of see if we mesh. It may be that we're not a good match for coaching. Usually we are, but we want to see, and then we can talk about moving forward with some coaching, training, whatever you might need.
Fantastic. Laura, I just want to, thanks so much for being on. I want to thank everybody that's listening right now live and everybody who listens later. Please subscribe, rate the show. If you liked it, if you didn't, let us know why. I do want to let everybody know that next Saturday, if you're in the Phoenix area, that's April 11th, I will be again doing massage at a workshop, at a conference taught by Cal Jurdy, who's an expert in transformation. This workshop is on persuasion with integrity, which I really like. This guy is phenomenal. If you'd like that, it's an all-day event on a Saturday, April 11th. The website for that is fearlesstransformation.com. And if you mention that you saw that on the website, I'm going to give you a free hypnosis download or CD, your choice, when you come to the show. If you want more information about this show, about hypnosis for help, or for entertainment, visit my website, jimkellnerhypnotist.com, and find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even Ello. You could be my third follower.
Yay!
Yay! All right, thanks again, everybody, for listening. Take care, be well, and hey, be awesome.